If Darwin were alive today, the insect world would delight and astound him with its impressive verification of his theories of the survival of the fittest. Under the stress of intensive chemical spraying, the weaker members of the insect populations are being weeded out. Now, in many areas and among many species, only the strong and fit remain to defy our efforts to control them. This was an excerpt from Richard Carson's revolutionary book, Silent Spring. Carson and her breathless fight against the environmental destruction caused by DDT, one of the most popular pesticides that emerged after World War II, forever changed how we thought about the use of chemicals as controlling agents against insects. In her paper called Our Oldest Enemy, Tanvi Dutta Gupta, biological scientist from Stanford, mentions that DDT embodied the victory of the West over America's enemies, and over insects and mosquitoes in particular. She also discussed that California has had a complicated history with mosquitoes. Malaria came to California early by hitchhiking on European settlers. It killed gold rush miners and devastated the local indigenous people. The history of mosquito nets, on the other hand, goes back to the old times, but nowadays they are mainly made out of plastics. Mosquito nets that are designed for protection against malaria are often treated with synthetic insecticides that are harmful to the environment. These chemically treated nets are 50% more effective than untreated ones, and their protection is 70% greater compared to no net at all. The fine mesh of these plastic nets are also used in the illegal bycatch of the fish in our oceans. It's been studied that these nets allow for extracting the smallest fish from the aquatic environments, which causes enormous problems in the food chain balance. In addition, the insecticides also kill the fish. In places like Nigeria, contraction of malaria still remains a fatal issue, and the distribution of these nets remains complicated and manipulated by the socio-economic factors. With the rise of the temperature due to the climate change, insect control will be the second most challenging issue that we have to face following population growth. And we are clearly still at war with mosquitoes. They trigger our insect to survive, but the chemicals we use against them have made them immune, poisoning our environment and ourselves in the process. What if we could replace the industrial plastic manufacturing of the mosquito nets with the local production of biomaterials, reusing food that goes to waste, and replacing the synthetic insecticides with natural ones, all in one net? Research has shown that citrus peel contains organic chemicals that are able to repel adult mosquitoes. The compound D-limonene is found in citrus peel and lemon essential oil. This organic compound is a natural mosquito repellent. In addition, lemon scent has shown an ability to repel mosquitoes. Based on the evidence that mosquitoes dislike lemons, I decided to choose lemon waste as the starting point for biomaterial development. During the process, I dissected lemons in many different ways to familiarize myself with their anatomy and their physical properties. I also used their peel, zest, and pith in many experiments to make bioplastics and to test their resistance against mold. In my next step, I developed methods to make net patterns out of my most successful biomaterial samples. I made threads, connected them with knots, used weaving techniques, and played with liquid expansion on the surface. I remelted the failed materials and mixed them with new ones to create different colors. In this process, I discovered materials with new qualities such as stickiness, which seemed the proper physical quality for the mosquito net. The natural next step was making molds and dyes to achieve precise and repeatable results. I 3D printed and CNC cut molds for casting, 3D printed dies that would punch holes into the semi-dried material, and overlaid 3D generated patterns to examine the moire effect. This stage of the project was the most challenging and resulted in many failures due to the desired thinness of the material, its rapid setting rate, and the small mesh count. I kept trying different punching methods using needles, nails, and straws, and finally an array of skinny straws made the most successful and promising sheet of material. This is the very beginning, and I can't wait to push this vision further by collaborating closely with engineers, chemists, and manufacturing experts to achieve a mesh count suitable for the protection against mosquitoes. I propose casting and punch pressing as manufacturing processes at this stage, but 3D printing and filament could be other viable additive process in future, substituting the material removal. During the process, I also realized that it's possible to develop a new bioplastic recipe using entirely lemon parts. Lemons already contain all the elements of a starch-based bioplastic recipe. Lemon peel will provide pectin, glycerol will be made from lemon oil, and lemon juice will act as the acidic component. Lastly, D-limonene will be embedded in the material as a mosquito repellent agent. With this purist approach, I want to argue that the replacement of plastics with bioplastics should not justify the excess use or extraction of other bio-based materials such as agar-agar. The material experimentation and development was an incredibly exciting process, and I learned so much from every step, mostly from my failures. Now, let's zoom back and take a close look at the synthesis of my resolution. The closed circular system starts with lemon-based bioplastics. This has two advantages: lower carbon emission compared to production of plastics, and removal of synthetic insecticides, replacing them with natural ones. Next, mesh patterns for the mosquito nets are created inspired by the shape of the mosquito wings, insect herbivory on lemon leaves, and the inner pulp structures of a lemon. In the next phase, I propose to make an outdoor tent with this textile, because tents are symbols of nomadic life and their origins goes back to the beginning of humankind. Historically, tent making has a strong relationship to the socio-economic factors of each region. As Philip Drew mentions in his book, New Tent Architecture, tents are ephemeral, mobile, flexible, sensual, and feminine. They can also be a solution to the rise of human need for mobility and survival due to climate change. At the end of the life cycle, the mosquito net is cut in pieces and burned. This ritual burning creates smoke, which mosquitoes detest, and releases lemon scent. The lemon ash from burning will be reused as pigment to make the new nets. I chose California as the initial location to test my concept and to iterate on prototypes. But I can't wait to expand this project to other regions in the world and to work closely with communities where mosquito blood transmitted diseases are a bigger issue and where people don't have easy access to these nets. Malaria is a climate problem. Distributing these nets shouldn't be a monopoly, and manufacturing them shouldn't be an ecological burden to the ecosystems. I want to create an economic system in which people have the power to grow lemon trees and to make their own lemon-based mosquito nets on local scales. The importance of mosquitoes in the environment is often overlooked by the other natural conservation efforts, such as saving beautiful forests and exotic frogs. But mosquitoes are essential for the health of the ecosystem. They pollinate flowers, and other animals like bats, fish, and birds rely on them as food. Eradicating mosquitoes at any ecological cost isn't feasible anymore. The aesthetics and visual aspects of this mosquito net aims at acknowledging their importance and their harmony in nature. This project is a small portion of a much larger debate about speciesism. I want to argue that we as species should see ourselves as only one part of the ecosystem. We can live more intimately with nature, co-evolve with insects, and protect ourselves and all the other components of life at the same time. We have to reimagine what we call nature, how we interact with it, and how we protect it. Thank you.